Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're looking at Lincoln wheat penny coins, made from 1909 to 1958. These old pennies have Lincoln on the front and wheat ears on the back. Some are special because of their age or small details that make them different. People collect them, and a few can be worth more than just 1 cent. Let's find out which ones are interesting and fun to look for. First up, the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark and in circulated condition is more than just a small piece of copper. It is a direct link to a time in American history when every penny counted, literally and emotionally. Minted in Philadelphia during the depths of the Great Depression, this coin was part of everyday life for millions of Americans struggling through one of the toughest economic periods the country has ever seen. The absence of a mint mark beneath the date confirms its origin from the main U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, where over 245 million of these pennies were produced in that year alone. On the obverse, this coin features the classic profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner and introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday, this portrait became a staple of American coinage. In circulated condition, the fine details of Lincoln's face may be worn down, his cheek and jawline may appear smooth, the lines of his coat less defined, and the overall texture softened from decades of handling. But even in this worn state, the character of the coin remains intact. It still carries Lincoln's calm, steady gaze and the strong sense of dignity that defines the design. Turning the coin over to the reverse, we see the famous wheat ears flanking the bold words 1 cent and United States of America, though time and use may have worn down the detailed lines of the wheat stalks and flattened the edges of the lettering. The spirit of the coin endures. Above, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum reminds us of the unity that held the country together during even its most desperate times. This coin may have helped buy groceries, paid for a child's candy, or dropped into a collection plate at church. Its life story is unknowable but undoubtedly rich. From a value standpoint, circulated 1935 Lincoln cents like this one are generally not rare due to the high mintage and widespread circulation. Coins in similar condition are typically worth only a few cents to $1 at most in today's market. But the true worth of this coin lies not in its price tag, but in the history and emotion it carries. It is a piece of everyday life from nearly a century ago. For collectors, it represents a puzzle piece in completing a full set of wheat pennies, and for history lovers, it offers a tangible connection to the struggles and perseverance of the 1930s. For those seeking higher value in this date, uncirculated examples with full red luster are far more valuable. Such coins, if well preserved and graded by a trusted third-party service, can be worth $20 or more, with mint state coins approaching or exceeding $100 depending on quality and eye appeal. Still, even a heavily circulated piece has its place in the world of collecting, especially for those who appreciate the aged beauty of a coin that has been through life and tells a silent story. There are no major known mint errors for the 1935 Lincoln penny, but collectors always keep a lookout for subtle varieties, such as double dies or die cracks. Though rare, these varieties can command much higher prices and draw considerable interest from numismatists. Examining the coin under magnification could reveal some small surprises hidden in the details. The historical context of this coin is powerful. In 1935, the country was in the midst of Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal reforms. Social Security was being born, public works projects were rebuilding cities and roads. People were beginning to hope again. This very penny could have been in the pocket of a worker on a WPA project, or used by a family buying staples with ration funds. It could have helped a student buy supplies or been saved in a child's jar for a rainy day. Its simple presence brings back an era of struggle, determination, and national rebuilding. To hold a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny is to touch a sliver of that story. Even worn and aged, its copper holds the weight of memories, its edges rubbed smooth by the many hands that kneaded it, counted on it, and carried it forward through decades of American life. It is not flashy or rare, but it is real, it is authentic. It is history that you can feel, and that makes it an enduring treasure in its own right. Next up we have the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a red shade and in good condition holds a quiet yet special place in the world of coin collecting. While not as instantly famous as its cousin from Philadelphia that same year, known for the dramatic doubled die error, the Denver Mint version still carries historical charm and value that shouldn't be overlooked. The red tone of this coin adds to its appeal, indicating that some of its original mint luster has survived despite the passing decades. That alone sets it apart from many circulated pennies of its time, giving it added character and collector interest. Struck at the Denver Mint, the small D mint mark appears just below the year 1955 on the obverse side of the coin. Abraham Lincoln's familiar and enduring profile remains front and center, a design first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this image of Lincoln has remained a symbol of American stability and integrity. On this red-toned coin, you might notice that Lincoln's features, his cheekbones, hairline, and suit details are still moderately defined, especially if the coin hasn't been too heavily circulated. That red hue is often a sign of original copper brilliance, especially when viewed under good lighting, and collectors love seeing that warm glow that hints at a well-preserved coin. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the timeless wheat ears design framing the denomination 1 cent and the words United States of America. While later pennies would move to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959, the wheat reverse remains a favorite among collectors due to its classic simplicity and its ties to earlier American coinage. Above the denomination is the motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. Despite its age, the red shade on the reverse may still catch the light and reveal soft reflections, especially around the raised lettering and stock edges. More than 563 million of these 1955 D wheat pennies were struck, making it a common date in terms of mintage. Because of that high number, circulated examples are widely available and generally valued at only a few cents to maybe $1 depending on condition. However, your coin's red tone gives it an advantage. Coins that retain their red color and show minimal wear can fetch higher prices. In mint state red condition, a 1955 D penny can easily command values from $10 up to $50 or more, especially if certified and graded. The red shade makes it more visually appealing and suggests it has spent less time exposed to the element or excessive handling. One fascinating aspect of 1955 in general is the high level of interest due to the famous double die error from the Philadelphia Mint. While this Denver minted coin does not share that same error, the buzz around 1955 pennies often sparks extra curiosity and excitement for any coin from that year. Some collectors even try to assemble complete sets from 1955, including coins from all mints and conditions. So while your coin may not be the famous error variety, it still benefits from the spotlight that year receives in numismatic circles. Collectors also keep an eye out for smaller errors, like repunched mint marks or die cracks, which can elevate the value of even a common date coin. A closer inspection of the D under magnification might reveal doubling or irregularities that can bring significant added value. These minor errors are often subtle, but are prized by error coin enthusiasts who seek out every small variation. Historically, this penny comes from a time of post-war optimism in the United States. The economy was growing, suburban neighborhoods were expanding, and families were settling into a new American dream. A penny from 1955 could have been used in a jukebox, tossed into a school lunch machine, or tucked into a child's piggy bank. Its red tone suggests it didn't spend its life entirely in circulation, but was preserved at some point, perhaps passed down as part of a collection or saved in a drawer for decades. That sense of survival and continuity adds an emotional weight that collectors of all ages can appreciate. While the 1955 wheat penny in circulated condition may not carry any enormous price tag, the red hue adds distinction and charm. It's a piece of copper that has carried value not just in commerce, but in memory and history. It reminds us of simpler times, steady progress, and the enduring face of a president who still commands respect to this day. For any collector, holding onto such a coin is not just about monetary worth. It is about the experience of history in the palm of your hand. Next up we have the 1940 for Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in red shade condition is one of those coins that instantly grabs attention, not because of its rarity, but because of the sheer beauty and history it represents. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint during the final years of World War II, this coin holds a special place in American numismatic history. Over 1.4 billion of these were produced in 1944, making it one of the highest mintage years for the Lincoln cent, and yet, when one of these coins survives in a red shade, especially with strong details and minimal wear, it becomes something collectors pay closer attention to. The obverse side of the coin proudly displays Abraham Lincoln's profile. Even after decades, a red-tone 1940 for penny can show surprising luster and definition in the design. The lines in Lincoln's hair, the crispness in his suit collar, and the deep strike of the day can still be admired when the coin has retained its original copper brilliance. The absence of a mint mark means this coin came from the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not use a letter to identify its location. This makes it a standard issue, but not any less meaningful. What makes the red shade significant is its connection to how the coin was stored and handled over time. Red pennies are those that still show their original copper coloring, the same bright orange red look they had the day they were struck. This coloring fades quickly with exposure to air, oil from human fingers, and general circulation. So when a coin still holds the red tone after nearly 80 years, it's a sign it was kept in relatively protected conditions. Collectors love red coins because they often indicate better preservation, and that can directly affect market value. On the reverse of the coin is the classic wheat design, with two wheat stalks linking the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the Latin motto E pluribus unum. A red coin will often reveal stronger detailing in the wheat and lettering, adding to its desirability. The wheat design is straightforward but symbolic, representing American agriculture and strength during challenging times. These coins circulated heavily, so finding one in a red shade is always a nice surprise. Even though 1940 for pennies are common, their value can climb based on condition. A regular circulated 1940 for Lincoln penny without a mint mark might only be worth a few cents to $1, but a red version with good surfaces and little to no damage can command more. In higher grades, especially MS65 or above, red 1940 for Lincoln cents can bring $20 to $50, and in exceptional cases even more. Rare examples in top-tier condition certified by grading agencies have reached well into the hundreds. While yours may not be mint state, the red tone gives it a bump in both appeal and potential value. There's another interesting piece of history attached to the 1940 for cent. During the war in 1943, pennies were made of steel coated in zinc because copper was needed for the war effort. That makes 1940 for the year copper returned to the cent, and collectors took notice. However, a few transitional errors occurred. A very small number of 1940 for pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover steel plankets from the previous year. Those coins, known as 1940 for steel cents, are extremely rare and worth tens of thousands of dollars or more. While your coin is copper and not one of those rare errors, it still belongs to that historic moment when the United States was transitioning out of wartime production. Your red shade 1940 for Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin that bridges the past and present. It was made at a time when the world was healing and rebuilding, and it likely passed through the hands of people who lived through ration books, war bonds, and VE Day celebrations. Today, it stands as a small but shining symbol of that time, its red glow reminding us of the pride and spirit of a generation that saw the world change forever. Holding onto a coin like this is like preserving a sliver of American history. It may not bring fortune in dollars, but it offers something richer, lasting connection to a story still being told, 1 cent at a time. Next up we have the 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is a small but meaningful artifact from a world that looked very different than today. Minted in Philadelphia, this penny was produced during a year when the United States was standing on the edge of monumental change. World War II was already raging across Europe and Asia, and though America hadn't yet officially entered the conflict, 1941 was the final year of peace before the country would be drawn into the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor that December. More than 887 million of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia that year, making them fairly common in terms of overall numbers, but each one still holds a unique place in the historical timeline. When you hold this coin, you're holding a piece of the early 1940s. On the front is the classic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His steady gaze, even when softened from circulation, still carries the weight of leadership and history. On many circulated examples like yours, Lincoln's facial details may be worn, and the lines in his coat and hair might have faded, but the design still stands strong. The date 1941 is clearly struck just to the right of his image, and without a mint mark below it. We know this particular coin came from the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse of the coin features the wheat ears on either side of the denomination, 1 cent, and the words United States of America. This wheat reverse design is beloved by collectors and is what gives this series of coins their nickname wheat pennies. The Latin phrase E pluribus unum arches above it all, reminding us of the nation's motto, out of many, one. In circulated condition, like yours, the wheat stalks may be faded or even partially worn down, but the overall design typically remains recognizable, offering a rustic beauty and a clear connection to America's past. The composition of the 1941 penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gave these coins a warm reddish hue when they were first minted. However, after years of circulation, many develop a darker tone or a brown patina. This natural aging process is common for coins of this era and often adds a sense of character and charm. While heavily worn coins don't command high prices, they do carry immense historical value and make perfect additions to any collection focused on vintage U.S. currency. Value-wise, most circulated 1941 wheat pennies without a mint mark fall in the modest range, often worth between 5 cents and $1, depending on condition. However, in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, especially those with bright original red color and sharp details, the value can rise significantly. Coins in mint state grades can fetch anywhere from $10 to $50 or more, and those with certified grades of MS65 or above can bring even higher prices. Rare era varieties can push values much higher. Some 1941 pennies have been found with double dies or striking anomalies. These errors are not common, but when they do surface, collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for an exceptional piece. Your coin, with its circulated condition, may not be rare, but it is far from ordinary. It has seen pockets and hands from another generation. It could have been used in a corner store for a bottle of soda, handed to a newsboy, or dropped into a savings jar during a time when every penny mattered. These coins were part of everyday life during a time of global uncertainty, and each one holds stories we can only imagine. There is something deeply nostalgic and emotionally powerful about these wheat pennies. They are not just currency, they are survivors of time. The year 1941 marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. As America prepared for war, these coins were there through it all. Even if their shine has faded and their surfaces are worn, they still speak volumes. They remind us where we came from, how far we've come, and how even the smallest objects can carry the weight of history. Holding this coin is like shaking hands with the past. It might not be worth a fortune in dollars, but in story and spirit, It's absolutely priceless. Next up we have the 1947's Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition is a small yet powerful reminder of post-war America. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, this coin came into the world during a time of national transition. World War II had ended just 2 years earlier, and the United States was entering a new era filled with hope, rebuilding, and rapid change. Over 99 million of these coins were produced in San Francisco in 1947, making it a common issue in terms of mintage. But even a well-circulated coin from this year can capture the attention of collectors who appreciate the stories that old coins silently carry. On the obverse side is the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Even in circulated condition, Lincoln's profile remains easily recognizable. Though the finer details such as the hair texture or coat lines may have worn down, the shape of his face, the date 1947, and the small S mint mark below it often remain clear. That S is an important clue to the coin's origins. It means this penny was struck in San Francisco, one of the 3 major mints operating at the time. San Francisco mint coins are often viewed with interest by collectors, especially when combined with historical context. Turn the coin over and you'll find the wheat ears design that gives this series its nickname. 2 simple stalks of wheat curve along the left and right edges of the reverse, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them is the motto E pluribus unum. While years of circulation may have softened the definition of the wheat and lettering, the design remains bold in its simplicity. This reverse was a staple of American coinage from 1909 until 1958, and it represents a time when design focused on strength, symbolism, and national pride. As for value, circulated 1947's wheat pennies are generally modest in worth. Most will sell for between 5 and 20 cents depending on condition. However, there are always exceptions. Coins that manage to survive in near mint or red condition can bring higher prices, sometimes reaching $10 to $30 or more. The real excitement comes from error coins. Off-center strikes, double die obverses, or other minting anomalies can push a common penny into the high hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Though rare, it's always worth taking a closer look, especially with a magnifier or by comparing it to online error examples. But beyond the dollar value, this coin tells a deeper story. Imagine where this penny might have traveled. It may have been used in a bustling post-war city, or perhaps exchanged at a small-town general store. It could have passed from parent to child as a small reward, or been tossed into a jar with dozens of others, waiting to be counted. Every dent and worn surface holds the echo of countless transactions, conversations, and lives intersecting. The late 1940s were a time of optimism and change in the United States. The economy was booming, soldiers were returning home, families were growing, and Americans were dreaming of a brighter future. Your 1947's penny was part of that time. It was touched by people who had endured war and were now working toward peace and prosperity. It is not just an object from the past. It is a survivor from an era of transformation. Collectors often find emotional value in coins like this one. While they may not bring in hundreds of dollars, they bring something far more personal. They offer a direct connection to the everyday lives of past generations. And in that way, even a single cent becomes a treasured piece of our national heritage. So this 1947's Lincoln Wheat penny, even in circulated condition, continues to shine as a window into history. It is a reminder that value is not always about money. Sometimes it's about meaning. Sometimes the most common coin carries the most uncommon story.